welcome to this terrific Tuesday edition of Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco. We are coming to you as we do every day live from noon to 2 Eastern on Newsmax TV. Today, we are downtown in Manhattan at the Question Tequila Studios, just down the street at the New York Stock Exchange. The Dow is still just under 27,000, down just about 30 points today, but nothing crazy going on. We'll see what happens at these UN talks. There is some uncertainty about what could happen this week with Trump in his hometown and all these world leaders here. And Bitcoin, when it dropped under 10,000 just recently, as I told you, I thought that was a buying opportunity. It's even lower than that. Trading this morning at, as we speak, 9,500, down 180 bucks on the day. And as I told you, never invest in anything just because I say it. And when you invest in cryptocurrency, be prepared to lose every penny. 8,500 is the next support, so there could be 1,000 points worth of downside from here. So be careful, but also keep a close eye on it because there may be an opportunity, and I think there is. That's why I went into it. And my opportunities are ever increasing when I'm joined by my co-host, the managing editor of Liquid Lunch, Frank Morano, with me again. Frank, good afternoon in the East.
Hello there, John. It's good to see you again. I couldn't help but notice that you're drinking bubbly. I've never seen you drink bubbly before. Not only are you drinking bubbly, but Jason Levy, the prodigal son who's mostly abandoned us for Florida of late, who's returned, he's drinking bubbly. Our makeup artist, Cece,
everybody's doing it, bubbly, baby.
Right? So I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Not only does the whole crew just try to be like me and emulate me in every respect, but it's the only thing we have to drink, and the only reason at all that we have anything to drink is because of the fine men of the NYPD.
That's right.
That brought us 3 cases of bubbly. So I want to thank Charlie, Matt, and Joe from One Police Plaza who came down here yesterday. Big viewers of our show, big fans of our show. Hopefully we'll hear more from some of them in future episodes. But they came down and they brought 3 cases of bubbly, and that is the only non-alcoholic drink that we have in this entire facility. And that's the God's
honest truth. And let's hope we're going to see them on the show and not right there behind us, protecting us from the angry mobs with torches and pitchforks who realize at some point that here we are downtown in liberal lower Manhattan, and we're talking about all the great things going on in America from our great president. So there is a possibility we may need more than bubbly from our friends at the NYPD, but we're flying the flag proudly. They brought us down some hats yesterday, too. And when those Antifa freaks figure out where we are, I'm sure they'll be outside. We'll have all that for more on you, but
I had my hat here. I don't know.
We're drinking bubbly. We're supporting the cops. What else are we doing today?
Absolutely. We're doing quite a bit. Obviously, the big news is the president's speech at the UN, where he spoke a great deal about Iran. We're going to bring you some video of that shortly. Yeah, there you go. Boom. Proud supporter of the NYPD. Never
thank those guys for bringing us down some lids yesterday.
Some of my best friends are police officers.
And, my father was a cop, and we love the cops. We're friends with Pat Lynch. I saw him when Liquid Lunch was down in Miami for the presidential debates. And, you know, we're big supporters. And I want to thank you guys also for coming down.
My dad was never a cop, but I can tell you in my life I've not hurled either milk or Chinese food at a police officer in my entire life. So,
and you have hurled milk or Chinese food at many other people.
Yes, no comment about those folks. Those folks deserved it. All right, well, speaking of the UN, John, why don't we get into our day's top story? This is President Trump at the UN just a little while ago, just moments ago, discussing Iran.
So let's come back to the studio.
All right. Well, we don't think you heard that.
We are working diligently, us and our staff, day and night, like you could not believe. And you know what our stated goal on this show is, not to make just good political points, but we want to make television great again. And on your way to greatness, you have hurdles that you overcome. And we're overcoming them every day. for your benefit. And no matter what he said, I guarantee you this, it was entertaining because the guy's a one-man comedy act. And even when he says serious stuff, it's funny to us that finally somebody has the nuts to say the truth, and it kind of comes out funny sometimes.
That's right. Well, we're going to talk with the Shadow CEO in just a few minutes. I'm very much looking forward to that. Apparently, there are a whole bunch of mistakes that most startup companies make, and I know we have a huge startup audience watching this show, so we want to help them avoid as many of those pitfalls as possible. But in the meantime, the big story at the UN yesterday was not Donald Trump, but Greta Thunberg. We're going to get into that in our Mix It Up panel today. We have a great Mix It Up panel with Kevin McCullough and Josh Kravitz, two fan favorites.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, the whole climate change debate on a broader political stage.
Absolutely. And I keep watching this stuff, Frankie, this climate change stuff. And I'm just thinking all the time, like I heard it on Morning Joke this morning, that they're saying the biggest threat to the United States of America is climate change. And I just kind of think about, you know, people who are trying to pay their bills and people who are looking for jobs and people who don't have access to affordable health care. And I think the people of America have bigger problems right now than climate change.
Well, they'll have bigger problems up until...
I mean, this is not the biggest problem facing us, regardless of Bergman and some 16-year-old Swedish girl that they import to lecture all of us on climate change. Well, you know what they do in boxing? You know when they're trying to, like, build up a boxer? A lot of these boxers are kind of... they're kind of like manufactured to be like 15-0 to get to a title fight, you know? Mm-hmm. And when you're promoting a boxer and you want him to get like 8 or 10 wins under your fight, they bring in what they call a tomato can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that tomato can usually comes in from like, they fly him in from like Memphis, Tennessee with an 11-0 record or, you know, 17-5 or something. Nobody's ever seen him before. Nobody's ever going to see him again. But that's a stepping stone, and they know he's just coming in to take a beating. So whoever put this 16-year-old girl out there, they really were putting her out there as a lamb for the right to attack.
Well,
if you
I think
ask me.
she won the fight, though. I mean, she seems to be dominating the news headlines today, and you know, folks like Michael Knowles over on the Fox News channel, and we're going to play you some video of that shortly. He called her a mentally ill child, and
I'm not going that. I mean, the girl was eloquent. She was smart. She's trained. You know what I mean? Right. She knows what she's supposed to be doing. But the world, first of all, how indignant can the left be to the history of the world to say that our actions in this small iota of 200 and some odd years we've been around, we can affect the entire universe? That's pretty indignant in itself. And then to roll out, you know, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez with the Green New Deal and a 16-year-old Swedish girl, I don't think they're doing themselves any favors, to be honest with you.
In terms of the Green New Deal, I think you're right. It's not really about environmental policy. It's about money in the economy. So I think...
it's a social experiment. That's what it is.
Well, but so the Green New Deal, I don't know what that is. It seems to be just an attempt to take over the economy as a whole. I think the climate change debate is a really important one that we have right now, and I think there is an important role for government to play in terms of limiting greenhouse gas emissions and in terms of taking steps to make sure that we don't see something like Hurricane Sandy every 3 years,
no, I don't
when it
think
should be a storm that'd be every 100 years.
Yeah, I don't think we should be spending that much time worrying about it, because the people who we're in competition with, and we've talked about this ad infinitum on the show, China and China tariffs and China trade and all this other stuff, the biggest polluter in the world is China. And they're not in any accords. They're not in any greens. So the more taxes through environmental regulation we put on our companies, we're offsetting the tariffs and the other things that Trump's trying to do to level the playing field. And I care about the environment. I care about my kids and my grandkids and green trees growing everywhere. But I just think in a 2 billion-year-old universe, our few hundred years here cannot make a big difference.
Well, I think we may just
Maybe
have
there's some
to-
faith in that.
we
You know
may
what I
have
mean?
to-
That, like, you got to believe that there's a higher power to the universe to think it's been around and existing that long.
So all the greenhouse gas emissions that go into
The universe.
atmosphere- Well, yeah, into our atmosphere.
The
right?
universe.
Well, let's start with the planet, and then we can talk about the
Right.
universe.
So as soon
right?
as they get shot out into the sky, they're off the planet.
And so they have no.
They're off the ground. So they're
Right,
off the
they're
planet.
off the ground. So then they don't do anything.
Well, then they just start to disperse into the universe.
So you can't dispute.
That's
right-
like taking a bucket of water and throwing it into the Atlantic Ocean and saying that you're polluting the waters.
I don't think it's quite the same thing, but so you'll acknowledge.
more like a cup.
You'll acknowledge that the world is getting warmer, right?
No,
The world's not getting warmer.
no.
So
Nope.
if you look at the hottest summers that we've ever had over the course of the last, 200 years, they've all been in the last 20 years, right? So doesn't that...
What about if you look at like over 1,000 years?
Well, so I'm not sure how
5,000
accurate the
years.
thermometers were.
No,
5,000
but they
years
still
ago.
had ways of measuring temperature.
Yeah.
And if you look at this stuff cyclically, storms and heat and water temperatures in the ocean, they go cyclically through time.
Now, look.
So if we're in a flow instead of an ebb right now, okay, divide that by 2 billion years, and we don't have that big a problem. I don't know. I mean, I love when you're not on my side because
Thank you.
you know
Yes, no,
it's delightful.
I'm on the
debate.
planet's side on this one. I love you,
The
but I love the
planet
Earth
is,
more.
as soon as some fracking company burns off the carbon monoxide through the flames coming out of the chimneys, it's off the Earth. That's like 200 feet in the air. We're all down here. It doesn't fall down.
Yeah.
It disperses into the universe.
I think that's a unique interpretation of the
I
science.
understand, but we're a unique show, and at least
are unique.
the one thing
That's for
unique
sure.
about us is we say it straight.
That's true.
And the straight thing is, unless they're spitting carbon monoxide out the front door, we're off the grid on it. For starters, I mean, cars, trucks. Yeah, we should cut down idling. We should make more cars run on corn. We should allow cars to run on electric. Those are all things that emit emissions at the human level.
I thought it was very interesting that all these guys talking about putting taxes on beef and meat and how to stop people from eating meat, they were all at this Iowa steak fry where they served 10,000 steaks.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about hypocrisy.
That's crazy.
You
All
know-
right. What about all those cows that were farting that they made those
Well,
steaks out
that's
of? That's
what's-
in the Green New Deal.
That's right.
We're going to be stepping up our game from cow farting to the Shadow CEO and the tips you need to know if you're an entrepreneur. You're watching Liquid Lunch. Back right after this.